as far as AI, I don't know what we are not doing.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of The Advisor Journey. I'm your co-host, Asarte Yarnway, along with my new partner in wealth, Will Steiner. Will, been waiting for this one.
Yeah, big time.
Big time. We got Alex Newman back on the podcast with some new information and some new gems. Alex, how you doing? It's always good to see you.
Oh, it's always good to be here. I appreciate this. You guys are awesome.
Will, this is going to make you jealous, but when I was in San Diego last June, I got to spend time with Alex Newman and his family. Went to SeaWorld. We had dinner, I think, and lunch. Yeah. We paid for expensive turkey legs. It was a blast.
Alex, I thought we had something, dude.
We do.
It was a blast. But Alex, it's been a pleasure to just watch you grow. So with that being said, why don't you reintroduce yourself to some of the advisors that may be watching for the first time?
Yeah, definitely. So my name's Alex Newman. I'm the founder and CEO of Grape Wealth Management. So grape like the fruit. A lot of times people think I say great wealth management. But yeah, so I started my practice about 3 years ago. It's been an exciting journey, constantly learning every single day. And now with the excitement of AI, I just got a new breath of fresh air. So I'm excited to talk to you guys. Why is that? Oh my gosh. I think that there's a lot of things that we do on a day-to-day basis that a lot of which could be automated. And so I'm excited to be able to take advantage of that and leverage that so I could give more time to my clients and give more face time to my clients.
You know, you say you're excited about it, but I don't know of a single advisor who is actually doing more with AI than you're already doing. And you have this great business, right? Like you have this very sort of traditional marketing motion that you do, which is the amazing events that you do at the vineyards, with the wine walks and all that stuff, and that really works for you with the Temecula community. But can you just take the covers back a little bit, show us sort of like what, tell us sort of how, what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Yeah, for sure. So doing quite a few things, and you're right, we're still doing Retire Temecula. And so for those of you who don't know, I am located in Temecula, California, which is just outside of San Diego in Southern California wine country. And that's a big reason why I named the firm Grape, was to really play into that. But we also, every single month, still get together with Retire Temecula, which is basically a retirement social group. So we get together, we all have a great time. They get to know me, I get to know them, and I let them know, by the way, I own a wealth management firm that specializes in retirement. And so it works out really well. It's really organic as far as generating business. So that has been awesome. But as far as AI, I don't know what we are not doing, in regards to AI. A big piece, and I know from when we spoke a while back, was really from a content perspective, right? Just really being able to keep the clients up to speed and up to date. So part of that I have implemented right now is automated newsletters. And so these are newsletters that go out every morning at 7 a.m. in the morning.
Crazy.
Or 7:30, excuse me. And it really gives kind of the clients and prospective clients an update on what's going on in the market. And so it's really a 30,000-foot view. It's not in the weeds. Usually I don't recommend sending things that are in the weeds through AI. But for a general update and a general overview of the past week, it works out really awesome.
Okay, first of all, you are underselling the Retire Temecula community. For anybody that's watching right now, this guy has created the eHarmony of retirees, where you're like matching the retirees. They're making friends, new relationships. They're talking. They're having fun.
Yeah,
it's a place where they can literally come and not think about their finances, which I think is an interesting way and such a cool way to grow your business, right? Because you're growing it by making new friends.
Oh, for sure.
Right? And when you go to the website, if you haven't, maybe we put that in the show notes, but you click on the website, it's like, walk around to Temecula at this time, right? Yeah. One of the things that I'm really interested in that you do is you've made Grape part of the culture of Temecula. And I think that that's a very hard thing to do. So when retirees look at their month, right, they might say like, hey, gotta go to the doctors, gotta go see my grandkids, and I gotta go to this Retire Temecula event. Yep. And I think that's a place that most advisors want to be, ingrained in their niche's community in their niches sort of lifestyle, right?
Yep.
And, you know, we have podcast episodes with you on here, so if you're interested in watching that, feel free, go back into the catalog and go to the beginning. But just very briefly, talk to us about the mentality behind making this about retirees and being integrated in their life, right? Because the AI only helps to amplify that piece.
Sure.
And that's what you've already done, right? You've made yourself integrated in this community in Temecula where you are synonymous with my lifestyle, right? So when you were leaving the wirehouse, which I think a lot of advisors need to understand in this today with the market crashing, with Commonwealth's acquisition, right?
Yep.
Talk to us about the process in building this.
Yeah, so you know when I first started it was in my first event. I had I think like 5 people there, right? I mean that was
You weren't even sure they were going to show up.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't at all. I was like, "Come on, wife." You know, I took my wife.
She was number 5.
Yeah, she was number 5. Literally, she was number 5. And so it was her, and it was one of my best clients, and she liked the idea. She liked the concept. She's like, "Yeah, let's do this." So anyhow, we went. There was a few other people that showed up besides them, right? But it was amazing. I mean, we all had a great time. We were there for hours and had some good wine and great conversation. So I knew that there was something special. And then my next event, back to consistency, my next event, we had 40 people. And then my next event, we had 90 people. And by our 5th event, we had over 280 people. And so it just grew like wildfire, which was really, really awesome. But, I found so getting back to from it first starting, it was expensive. Really expensive.
You're losing money.
Yeah, really expensive. These events were costing $2,500 to my 5th one was almost 20 grand, right? So it was a big deal. But there was also the launch of my firm leaving the wirehouse, know. So, but regardless, it then turned from that to and me going to places and to wineries and saying, "Hey, I'm Alex Newman. I have this group and I need an event space and I'll bring some people." And them saying, "Okay, well, yeah, it's going to cost you," right? To now wineries giving me a call and saying, "Hey, that retired Temecula, can we do it at my winery?" Mm-hmm. And so it worked out really well. And so now there's really not a lot of expenses that are associated with it, right? Yeah. Like it's not really a cost per se on the event side. Now it's just feeding into the community that I've built, right? So now we're up to like 2,500 members on Retire Temecula. We have an app, right? It's awesome, but again, it's also organic. It's not that
you created like a third space for people.
Definitely,
right? It's like church, the bar.
Yeah.
Now it's Retire Temecula for this like group of people who they have this thing in common. Yeah. They're looking for something. People want those spaces.
They need them. I think it's an important piece, right? Socially. And when you don't have that hurts.
My mom recently retired after doing 34 years at United Airlines. Congrats. And sometimes I'm like, go outside.
Yeah. Drink wine.
Yeah.
Go
Meet
outside.
Some friends, right?
You know what I mean? Meet some friends. I'm like seeing old ladies at the gym. I'm like, you want to go to the gym? There's so much potential in that idea, and it's just such a beautiful thing because I can right now feel like how valuable this would be for my mother. So first of all, I just wanted to say that the AI component, when we talk about it in our monthly calls, is just crazy because you're scraping all of this information from online.
Yep.
It packages it up with a picture with your firm logo, right? And you're giving people the update. So take us through what that does, how you do it, first of all, because I might be underselling it here, but what that does for your firm and the impact that it has on the clients, because it seems like you're touching clients more frequently, which keeps you top of mind, which then can create referrals, right? And can create just a sense of he cares, right? So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so a little bit about that. You're right. Pulling information, obviously there's information everywhere. And so we pull information from multiple different sources, some of which is like the U.S. Census Bureau, right? Being able to just pull unemployment information. So having those sources is extremely important to make sure that the information that you're giving out is accurate and real. And so with doing that, my focus is really keeping it as simple as possible. And so I use what's called an LLM, which is a large language modeling system. And so it's a system that allows for you to break down ChatGPT into, or any other AI, into multiple steps. So typically when you do a request or a response or a reply, in ChatGPT, it usually just spits out kind of a 400, I think it's 400 character response. And you can't really do anything beyond that, right? And so with LLM, it allows for you to break it down into multiple steps. So you could have an introduction, a body or a middle part, and then an end or a conclusion, or however you want to, as many steps as you want. If you want for it to have 1,000 steps, you could build that. And so what that does is it allows for you to connect to the right sources, make sure that it's going through the proper process in order to gather that information. And then once it has that information, it allows for you, it comes out very beautifully and given to the end user.
Did you build this yourself, or is there a tool that you use? Like, what's the sort of the architecture for the person listening thinking, oh, that sounds attractive?
Sounds awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of so I did build it. I hired somebody in order to build this system. So I knew the components that I wanted. I knew the sources that I wanted the data to come from, but I don't know coding myself. And so, nor did I know how to use, whole LLM systems. And so there's a lot of different ones out there now, kind of similar. You have Zapier that allows for you to connect different APIs. But from an LLM standpoint, there's a company called N8N. And that allows for you to build out your workflows. And so you could create, again, 1,000-step processes.
What is the material impact on the business, right? So, for an advisor, let's say advisor A wants to start growing his practice, he's going to do something, right? Yep. He might have retired Temecula events, right? Sure. He's putting money into this thing, and then he's like, what is the return on this? You begin to collect that data. Yep. 100 people came, 20 people scheduled calls, right? 2 of those people closed $3 million, right? Yep. So then you can assign a value to this event and try to duplicate that and make it more efficient over time. For this, I know how much you spend, but why don't you tell the audience how much you spend, the output that it has, and what you expect in return, or how it's maybe impacted the firm qualitatively, or even from a dollar sense.
Yeah, so it's with everything built out. So initially building out the system, and this was a while ago. I spent I think like $10,000 in order to hire somebody in order to build out that system. But
just $10,000, just
it wasn't just really wasn't. But I knew the value, right? Because like if I was going and hiring, you name it, right? Bloomberg, Morningstar, whatever the sources you use in order to access this information, and then do a newsletter. And in a lot of the stuff that's out there is just kind of templated, right? And
totally. And it's expensive too. Very
expensive. And so I figured, well, I could either go and spend $600, $700, $800 a month. And sometimes there's a setup fee and, a consultation fee in order to...
3-year contract to go with it. Like, come on, man. I'm trying to grow.
Yeah, exactly. So I figured, might as well, as long as it could do what I need for it to do, or what I had envisioned, I thought it was well worth it. And I think it is. It's really so that was initially all the components now, I don't know, I would say probably we'll call it a few $100 a month.
Not bad.
Right. But it's doing exactly what I want for it to do. Right. And I think that that's really the key. And so even in my newsletters, I have our events. So it has an update on market information to clients as well as prospects. Mm-hmm. And then underneath that, it has kind of the social component, which is Retire Temecula and the next event that's coming up. And so, and we have, every week we have on Wednesday mornings at 8:30, we have vineyard walks, right? And so I'm out there, I'm walking with, retirees, and, it's nice and it's awesome. But it pulls that information from my website and publishes it in the newsletter, and so people could click on it and RSVP.
I love it.
Like, what are the open rates on these emails? You said you're sending them every day.
No, so I'm sending every morning, every Monday morning at 7:30 in the morning.
Okay,
is what the newsletter goes out.
That could get a little excessive. I remember seeing a stat.
For sure.
We had a sponsor at an Altruist Academy 6 months or so back, Invesco, and they had this great stat that was like, the percentage of clients that will refer new business to you, if you're touching your clients 4 to 6 times per year, it's around 11%.
Wow.
But if you bump it up to 12 touches or more, it goes up to something like 94%.
Wow.
We'll get you a referral. I'm sure there's a point of diminishing returns. Like, again, every single day might be a bit much. You're not doing that. Great.
Yeah.
But once a week feels good. Like, they are opening those emails, like, and engaging with them.
It's interesting just because as far as those numbers, and you're asking, well, what does it actually do to the business and and it's a little tough just because a lot of stuff is organic. So I have people that come, they have my newsletter, they come to a Retire Temecula event and say, hey, I need to set an appointment with you, right? I know you were talking the other day about such and such, right? And so pinpointing it on if that was the initial driver.
Attribution is hard.
It's a little hard to dive into that data, but
before you show us, they say you were talking about such and such, or you're like, that was the LLM that made that such and such, or do you ever get confused about the messaging that goes out?
That's a very good question, and I think that's a lot of people's fear, right? But no, I mean it's general stuff in our world, right? Like we're talking every day to clients, and obviously you saw the market today, right? And so we know that tariffs are coming. We know when the Feds decrease or increase interest rates. We know we know all the things that this is saying, right? And so I don't feel that there's anything that's not in line with that.
And it's not like sensitive client information. It's honestly, I think there's definitely a line somewhere where you're like, okay, for sure. I'm not going to outsource this to AI. But like for anything for educational content, for that sort of like broad sweeping, overview, like it does seem like a pretty low risk.
Oh, for sure.
Place to explore.
No, I totally agree, and I think that's where I have found value in it. I know a lot of people were really nervous and really concerned, when it first began, but I think that using it in areas that that can just keep the clients up to speed and up to date with general information is important. Mm-hmm. And I love that you touched on, not being client specific or anything like that, because what I was able to do is I make that one newsletter go out to current clients as well as prospective clients, right? And so if it was so tailored to each individual person, then that would definitely complicate things.
I know you want to. We're going to get to it. You want to show it, but like, how do you get people onto your newsletter? Is it mostly through the events?
Yeah, mostly through the events, and so I'm very big in promoting those events and getting them out there. And then once they come to an event, in order to come to the event, they have to RSVP. And when they RSVP, they put in first name, last name, email address, phone number, and where they retired from. Right, so
retirees are giving out that information in 2025.
Yeah, they are.
I love that because it's like
know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're not signing up for an event that's Grape Wealth Management.
Right.
They're signing up for a Retire Temecula event, which is like fun. There's
social
wine. People are laughing and dancing. Like, it's such a lower risk call to action for them.
Yeah,
and when you get up there, at the end or at the beginning, and you're like, hey, have a good time. I'm Alex. I do this. If you want to talk about it, great.
Yeah,
it's you make it easy, I think, for people to feel comfortable in those spaces, and just then you follow up.
Yeah, exactly, and that follow up. So that's also built into the workflow, right? Because you're asking how do we kind of get people in the door after that process. But so once they come to an event, as soon as the event is concluded, then there's an automated email that goes out and says, thank you so much for coming. If you would like to book a meeting with me, click here, and then they set an appointment. My main thing is just building a system that looks, and feels right. And that's the same thing with building the firm, right? I wanted it to be very organic. I didn't want to be going out and doing seminars every day or every week, right? I want it to be fun. I want it to be enjoyable. I don't want it to feel like a timeshare.
Yeah, I mean, you've cracked the code. You've built your business around drinking wine.
Yeah, that's kind of awesome. I enjoy it. And I tell you that the people that we meet, or I meet, is just incredible. Like, so that's over the past month.
I'll let you share the stats.
So that's just visitors I could dive into.
This is the Retire Temecula site, basically.
Yeah, that's the Retire Temecula site. Let me.
I see 119 RSVPs on here.
Yeah.
Those are good numbers.
Is that like, the average Retire Temecula event? Like, what's the size? What's too big? I'm sure it's felt very small in the past as well, but like, what's the sweet spot?
Yeah, the sweet spot is usually where we're at pretty much every month, where we have anywhere between 80 to 150 people. So that's really the sweet spot is what I found. I have had events where we had over 300 people, and it was insane because it felt like a wedding, right? And so I couldn't get around and talk to people and do the things that I want to do. And so I would say between 80 to 150 is really the sweet spot.
So you got the events.
Yep.
And the newsletter.
Yep.
Are those two things like the only pieces that sort of just they work in harmony, or are there other components that are driving growth for your business?
Yeah, other components. Obviously blogs, right? So, using AI to help enhance your blogs is definitely a game changer.
Blogs the blog post is an interesting one because I feel like so many advisors write blog posts that no one ever reads or sees.
Yep.
So what are you doing and what are you doing with AI to win there?
Yeah, so you're right, and that's how I looked at it as well, right, is that you take so much time in order to put out this content, and not all the time people read through it. Majority of the time they don't, at least my experience. You guys are a lot more talented than me at that world. But generally speaking, so there's that. But the other piece is consistency, right? Like that was my concern. Like if I'm doing a newsletter or writing a blog, and if I say I'm going to do it every Monday morning at 7:30 in the morning, I mean the likelihood of that stopping sometime is probably 100%. Right. Sometime, if it's up to me to manually do it, there'll be a morning where something happens, and I have a family. We all have life, right? And so the likelihood of that, it just didn't seem like it was realistic for me to manually try to do that. So it really helped solve that void from a consistency standpoint, and I guess equally with consistency is the amount of times I'm posting. So when you look at like Google, for example, Google, it wants to show that you're constantly putting out new content, right? And that it's relevant content, and that that there's a lot to it. Not that it's just one 400-word, right, ChatGPT something. Like they want to know that you're diving into the details and getting in the weeds, and that you're using dynamic keywords, and there's all this algorithm that they look at and how they rank you. And so I have been using those. I use AI in order to pull those dynamic keywords and to really elaborate on those blogs, and then also post them very, very quickly and frequently.
They're frequent, all right.
Yeah.
That's all I see on the LinkedIn. I'm like, Alex, how are you doing this? You can't be pumping out this much content as a solo advisor, solopreneur, right?
Yep.
So for the advisor that's listening and thinking about doing something different to grow their business, what advice would you give that advisor? Because I think there's a little bit of fear when you're going off the beaten path. Yeah. What advice do you give that person that has it, knows it, but won't do it?
Yeah, I would say, and that's a great question, I would say build a community, right? What are the things that you like to do, right? Well, who's your ideal client? And I know everybody always says that, right? Niche down, and who's your ideal client? But it is so very, very real. So if you know what that looks like, and you could build a community around it, and it's pretty simple, because if you have a client that likes to play pickleball, or if you have, depending on what you specialize in, just marrying the two and creating a community around it, you'll be surprised on how quickly that grows. And again, it's organically. Yeah. And from a social standpoint, I'm very big on Facebook because retirees, right? But really being able to match your social media with what you're looking, who your ideal client, uses.
Yeah, I was on the flight over here last night. I watched a woman, retiree, spend $8 to spend the entire flight on Facebook.
Yeah,
They're there.
They are there.
It's a good place to find retirees. I can't help it, but I do want to come back to the SEO piece because it's like that's the content person in me.
Yeah, for sure.
SEO, I think, is another one of those things that's like, it's a tough nut to crack. It's competitive, especially with so many of the keywords. It's like NerdWallet, Investopedia. It's like, it's a hard space to win in. So like, but you've done it. Like when someone searches financial advisor, Temecula, at the top of the list is Alex Newman.
Yep.
How do maybe not other advisors in Temecula, but how do other advisors do that?
Yeah. So I found a lot of value in that with blogs, right? And so, in regards to AI, you really being able to utilize that and constantly put out content and blogs. I believe that's the main component that allows for me in order to do that.
And you use AI to do most of the heavy lifting? Like, is there a system that you're relying on? Is it another N8N, like custom build? Is it a tool? Like, I need details, Alex.
I think that it's kind of duct taped together in a sense. I have a system that I was telling you about a little bit, but it's called Air Sandwich, and it's basically the system that I built or had built, and I'm working on making that available and widely available to a lot of other firms and people that want to take advantage of it and not pay that 10 grand in order to do it. And so hopefully that will be here and available relatively soon. But to do something similar, I think that there's a lot of platforms like that N8N that are out there, and I think it's just like Zapier, right? Mm-hmm. It's essentially the exact same thing as Zapier, but just for AI workflows.
Right. And the point behind the point here is like, it's out there. Yeah. You have to go figure it out. Like, it's not going to be delivered on a silver platter yet.
Yes.
And I think that's an important lesson. Like, these are new tools. Like, if you want to be on the cutting edge, you have to find time to do the research, to play around with them and experiment. So I think that's a valuable lesson in its own right.
What do you think advisors could use AI for that they might not be thinking about right now?
Yeah, those newsletters, extremely valuable. Being able to tailor it to your voice and your image and, how you want for it to sound and the way that you talk to your clients, extremely valuable. Also, it being able to be tailored to, again, your clients, extremely valuable. So newsletters, definitely blogs for sure. And I remember you way back when saying, have your own voice, right?
Right.
You have to have your own voice. That's what differentiates you from other people. And so that allows for you to do that. If you have somebody else, Snappy Kraken, FMG Suite, so on and so forth, they're speaking to, they're speaking the way that they're speaking.
Right.
Right. And
for an audience that may not be yours.
I think
exactly.
I think it starts with having a perspective, like what do you have to say? What's different? People don't want encyclopedic entries, right? No. They want angles and perspectives. And so I think you have to consider, hey, what do I have a perspective on? But then the time that it takes to create amazing, well-researched content is plummeting.
Yeah.
The effort that it's taking is plummeting.
Yeah.
So then there's sort of like the standard interaction with tools like ChatGPT. Then there's the use case specific tools like Descript for video editing, which is amazing. So much faster. Like, you can edit, just by deleting certain words, or they've got all these now new AI tools for sound quality improvement. And then the future is like these agentic use cases where you're telling it to do something. It's interacting with, a browser or some, the MCP stuff. Is it interacting directly with other applications?
I love that.
And you've fully replaced workflows that required historically, a person to do, which it all has these crazy implications. Like, I worry about the junior employees. Like those are the jobs that are going to get kind of disrupted in this little shakeup. But
Totally.
Yeah, I think the biggest use case is the practice management bottlenecks that we have in our system. So those
For sure.
in our like regulated to be in the system. So when you think about like the compliance
For sure.
piece, right?
Sure.
Like I think that if you can collect all your trades placed and that is almost by the minute documented and stored for you
Yep.
using AI, your entire compliance sweep when it's time for auditing is going to be so much easier because, the process as it stands right now, you're taking all these different forms,
Madness.
you're trying to find them. You got a tool that is essentially just a file cabinet to store things, right? So I think that's a big opportunity in the AI space that would just put compliance professionals out of business. Another one practical that's already out is just the note-taking. The note-taking
sure.
aspect of it, I think that's a big use case for the advisor. Obviously, we need the notes, and it's good to document some of the things that happen.
Compliance again.
I think an email agent
Yeah.
that allows you to like not write the wrong things in the email.
For sure.
But it's a slippery slope, though, because like you get into this world where you start taking yourself out. It's
equation.
easier to decide to take yourself out of certain workflows, and then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, have you fully gone to the dark side? Like, are you reviewing?
We're going
it?
to the dark side.
That's a good
The
point.
dark side's happening.
It's
It
happening
doesn't
right now.
matter. It's like
Stay in the light for at least
know what I mean?
a few
For
more
sure.
years.
No, I totally, I totally agree. But I think that we have more room than what we think we have room
Certainly.
for, right? And if you look at a lot of attorneys, right? They have their paralegals, and their paralegals a lot of times do a lot of their work, right? But it's just important that we remain obviously the ultimate pilot of the ship, and
Yeah, where
pilot of the
people
ship.
people
That
are
doesn't-
people are the captain. I think
Captain of the ship.
I think it's good to remember that people are paying a human for a certain for humanity. Like that's the big key in this profession is like
Yeah.
the humanity at the end of the day. And I think as soon as someone feels like they're paying for a human and getting a robot, trust is like
Out the window.
It's gone.
trust and a lot of other things, fees.
Right.
The
Yeah,
conversation
for sure,
will
for
just
sure.
continue to go downstream.
Yeah.
And I don't think any advisor wants that conversation to go downstream. Like, right?
Definitely.
Like, you replace it, people understand this is commoditized. Now we can kind of go downstream on cost, fees.
Oh, for sure.
Expectations. People are going to expect more for a lot less. That's already happening in the industry, right? So I think the conversation is starting with how can we make this easier?
Yeah.
But by making it easier, you then water down sort of the impact for a lot of retail consumers. That's a possibility. I'm not saying that's going to happen. So
Sure.
the conversation for me is interesting because it touches on human psychology and what people are going to think about this,
Sure.
how they're going to feel regarding having AI more integrated in their advisor's practice, right?
Yeah.
People already, like when you think about AI content specifically, people are like, that's an AI creator.
Look, there's an M dash.
Yeah,
There's
it
an
must be
M dash.
AI.
It must be AI, right? So
Yeah.
we already are developing this eye for like what is fake or if somebody's taking the easy route, right?
Sure.
You see that with like GLP-1s, like when people like choose to like lose weight fast.
Yeah,
you know what
sure.
I mean? It's like,
yeah.
yeah.
I saw you last month.
We were,
Yeah.
all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a different conversation now, and it's just going to be interesting to watch how people are intentionally implementing this from the enterprise level all the way down.
Yeah. Alex, thank you so much for joining
always
us
my
in the
pleasure.
studio. It's always great to catch up with you. Amazing to see how Retire Temecula has grown, how Grape Wealth Management is growing, and all the cool stuff that you're doing with AI. I'm sure we're going to see more cool stuff from you in the future. To all the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. This episode of the podcast will be available on Apple, on Spotify, on everywhere where you listen and find podcasts. And that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Alex, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you guys. You're awesome.
Thank you for listening to The Advisor Journey by Altruist. Brokerage-related products and services are provided by Altruist Financial LLC, a member of FINRA/SIPC. Results may vary. Altruist and its affiliates do not provide tax or legal advice.